Is your magic meter running low? Well, we've got a cure for you. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli, and today on the show I have Miss Tiffany Mink with me from whositswhatsits.com. Hello, Tiffany.
Hey, so good to be back.
Welcome back. Your first time this season, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, and we had such a fantastic night. We're going to be going on a Disney trip report. We did not travel very far for this trip, but it was a very special event at Disneyland last night, Disneyland After Dark, 90's night.
Yeah, you say we didn't travel far, but we traveled back in time.
We traveled back in time, and I drove for quite a long time because
true,
the traffic was horrible. But yes, we did go back in time. I can't even wait to talk about this, so let's jump right into it right now.
Travel along and stamp those passports in today's Disney Trip Report.
Okay, so...
Where do you even start?
Well, I want to start with, so Disneyland After Dark. Disneyland's been throwing events, after-hour events for a very, very long time. But correct me if I'm wrong, Disneyland After Dark, like this brand that they created, just started last year, right?
I think it started last year, and the first one was that throwback night.
Throwback night, which was very much kind of like a Dapper Day type of thing, 50s, 60s style. And then there was Star Wars night last year. And then this year we started with Sweethearts night, which was around Valentine's Day. And then last night, when we're recording this, it was last night, it was 90's night. And the next one is Heroes Assemble, which is Marvel themed and over at Disney California Adventure. So have you done any of these, or was last night your first one?
No, last night was the first one. I've done other ticketed events. I kind of compare it to the Halloween parties that Disneyland does. It's very similar, kind of in vein, special entertainment and food and all of that. So I've done Halloween parties, I've done Christmas parties in Magic Kingdom, but this was the first one at Disneyland as part of this Disneyland After Dark series, I guess they're doing.
Cool. Same for me, and of the other ones that have happened, the only one I was really interested in was Star Wars Night. I didn't go to it, but I think you were kind of interested in Sweethearts Night, weren't you?
Yeah, I was out of town. I really was flip-flopping on it, and then I was like, I'm going to be out of town anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. But I know it was Valentine's themed. They were going to have a lot of Disney couples, and the photo ops were going to be really cutesy. So I don't know, that's my jam.
So last night was my jam to the nth degree. First of all, last night was just confirmation. We're so old. It's
right?
ridiculous. I honestly, several times, my buddy Preston, who has been on the show before, he's young, he's a teenager, and he was like, God, it looked like so much fun. He wasn't there, but he saw on social media. And he's like, it looks like the best Disneyland After Dark event. And honestly, it was a blast. But I'm not sure you would like it. I feel like if somebody your age was there, you'd just be like, oh, these old people are just trying to relive their childhood, which is exactly what we were trying to do. But yeah, it was amazing.
It definitely was catered to the kids that were, maybe between 7 and 13 in the 90s that really grew up on these shows, not as a 3-year-old. I want to make clear, if you're born in late 80s, you're a 90s kid, not an 80s kid. If you're born in late 90s, you're a 2000s kid, not a 90s kid.
Yeah.
So we were definitely targeted for this specific event.
So it was awesome. So where would you, there's so much to talk about. Characters maybe we should start with.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the biggest draws of the night was all of these super rare characters that you never see.
Now you love meeting characters. That's your jam.
Yeah, I love it.
That is not so much my jam. I'm not saying I dislike it by any means, but I'm not the type that typically waits in long lines to do it.
I like to meet characters, but I don't like to wait in long lines.
Well, nobody does, but you will sometimes.
Yeah, if it's something really special, I will.
It's pretty rare for me to wait in a long line, but we did get in the line last night. Let's just start with the one everybody's talking about, because Max dressed as Powerline was there last night, which is... I'd only seen him in Paris before.
Yeah, I think that was the first time he existed was at that Fan Days event in Disneyland Paris.
So this was kind of epic, and it was funny because on the list, we're looking at the map from last night right now, and it says in Tomorrowland you can meet Goofy and Max. That's all it says. So you're like, okay, it's 90's night. There's got to be more to it than that. And Goofy was dressed in his Goofy movie costume, right? And then we had Max dressed in his Powerline costume. And the line was massive.
And they even met before the event officially started. So at these ticketed events, you get to go into the park a little bit early. I think we were allowed to go in at 6 p.m.
You get to go in 3 hours before the event starts, which is great.
Yeah, especially because they're pretty costly. And when you get into those events, you really want to focus on what's special. So you're typically not going to be doing the rides and other things that you would do in the park. So they kind of give you a little bit of a buffer to get in, maybe get a regular like dining option, do a ride that you don't want to spend time on during the event. But because of that, these lines start really early. And I cannot believe that they brought them out before 9 o'clock.
I think they were out 8:30, maybe even 8:15 they were out meeting because, I mean, the lines get insane. That Max line, now, first of all, let's just talk about the really crappy thing with these situations. So there are a lot of rare characters, but the problem is that they swap. So basically, Goofy will be on for 30 minutes, and then Max will be on for 30 minutes. And there's not two separate lines, it's one line, and it's kind of like, when you get there, that's who you're taking a photo with. If you want to stay and wait, you can, but here's the problem that happened a lot last night. I know definitely with Goofy Max, and I think with Darkwing Duck as well.
Was really bad. I think the Darkwing Duck line ended up being worse than the Powerline Max line.
Well, the problem with the Darkwing Duck one was that people literally had no idea who the other person was.
Don Carnage.
Okay, nobody knew who that was.
Yeah, he was on Tailspin. The Don Carnage was like such a deep cut.
Yeah.
I think it was honestly too deep.
Too deep.
Just too deep.
Too deep for Disney fans, yeah. So people were like refusing to take a photo with them, and I get it. Listen, I was basically in that mindset. I was like, if I get up there and it's Goofy, nothing against Goofy, but I want a photo with Max Powerline, and I was willing to do that. But it did get to a point, the line was insane. Full disclosure, we left the line and very much lucked out and got to be part of a special video thing that they were shooting or something. So we basically cut the line.
We cut the line, but it wasn't like, we're going to skip everybody. It was like, we legitimately got out of line, but we wanted to see what they looked like. And we got pulled to be filmed for something that Disney Parks was going to be using internally to review the event and put in their own newsletters and stuff. So we got very, very lucky, a true magical moment that we got to meet him even before the event started.
Yeah. Was that before 9? Yeah, it was.
Oh 9, because remember we were leaving and we were
right.
like, oh wow, Britney Spears is playing, it's officially happening now.
Don't even get me going on the music.
Sorry. Spoiler alert.
The music was amazing. But yeah, so we very much lucked out, and it was wonderful to get to do that, and it was such a cool meet and greet, and like I just loved it. It was probably the best one of the night, although there were quite a few you were very excited about.
I could not believe the Phantasmic Monkeys, original Phantasmic Monkeys, are going to be meeting. And at this point, we had kind of split ways at this, but I did end up waiting in line. And
how long was it? I assumed it was a very short line because I saw that you went later, and I was like, oh, it must have got a lot shorter.
It wasn't bad. They were going through people pretty quickly, and I think we probably only waited half an hour at that point.
See, that's totally acceptable to me. A half hour to meet a character you're excited to see. Very cool. There were some I wanted to meet. Well, let's talk about those Phantasmic Monkeys actually for a second, because I mean, I kind of forgot for a second because people know my feelings of the new Phantasmic. I don't watch it that often. And I forgot that these monkeys actually aren't part of it because they replaced them with like those tiki god monkey things or something, which aren't nearly as cool. But those neon blacklight monkeys were out there in blacklight with the throne from Phantasmic that you see on the barge, which was kind of cool and surprising. And yeah, it was, they were cool. It was
really, what I think I loved so much about it is it felt like such a curveball. Rarely am I super surprised by some things like that. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I expect that we'll get Darkwing Duck. I expect that we'll see Launchpad. You know, they're characters that we've seen at other random meet and greets before, or characters that we've seen that were in the park in the 90s at some point. But the Phantasmic Monkeys really threw me, especially because it wasn't from a Disney afternoon show or a movie. It was related to something that happened in the park in the 90s.
Totally.
And that's what I think was so special about it.
They did that with quite a few things. So Phantasmic premiered in 1994, so that was part of 90's Nite.
92.
92?
Yeah.
Was it?
That's
Wow.
that's what the sign said on the throne.
I'm going to trust the sign then. Wow. I'm surprised. You surprised me. I thought it was 94. Wow. 92. All right. And then Indiana Jones Adventure. Indiana Jones was there because that attraction opened in the 90s. Was that 94?
That was 94.
Okay. Maybe I was confusing the two. So Indiana Jones was there, which was kind of cool because at first I was like, wait a sec. Like all the indie movies were 80s or later, like 2000s. If you want to pretend that one exists. But then it was like, no, the attraction opened in the 90s. Oh, okay, that's why Indy's here. So that was cool. Who else was there? Baloo and Louie in their tailspin costumes. Come on.
So cute. That was like that one really I felt was super special.
You know what I never went to go check out? And I'm curious if the lines were long or not, only because this is in such a off the beaten path place. Mulan and Mushu.
We
Critter
tried.
Country.
So they used the location Critter Country pretty loosely.
Oh.
They were on the bottom level of Hungry Bear, all the way in the back towards Galaxy's Edge.
Wow.
So like we had walked through Critter Country because we were like, I was like assuming they were going to be in like maybe Pooh's meet and greet since that's a meet and greet location, but
sure.
They were down there like kind of hidden. And the line was so long that we could not even see where they were.
Wow.
And cast members weren't letting people go up and like see what was happening, which happened in a few locations. It happened with like...
Which I'm so not cool with.
Yeah, I'm like, especially if you're having these characters. So they had a Lion King meet and greet area with Timon and Rafiki changing out. And then they had a Hunchback meet and greet area with... Phoebus and Esmeralda, and they were switching out with Clopin. And they were both located along Big Thunder Pass, where the new gates are going to be for Galaxy's Edge. So they're not in the way of any sort of foot traffic. They're really off the beaten path. And there's honestly no reason why you couldn't like go up to like see what was happening to them and cause really any problems.
Yeah.
And they were refusing to let anybody kind of go up, which is kind of a bummer because it's impossible to meet all of the characters.
That's what I was going to say. Like, realistically, you cannot, even if you get into the park, even let's say they start early, let's say 8 p.m., which is a whole hour before the event, which is, being very, what's the word I'm looking for? Generous of the time. But so let's even say at 8 to, what was it, till 1 a.m. And that amount of time, there's no way. You really have to pick one or two characters you want to meet and go for it. And therefore, you should at least be able to walk by and see the others. Now, pro tip here that we started doing, we basically, their on-off times were about every 30 minutes, so we figured out when they were coming and going, and we just kind of waited for them to walk on and off stage and yelled at them and took photos. Like not with them. We didn't stop them. We didn't do anything inappropriate. It's just like, we just want to see Clopan. Like, I'm not going to wait in 2 hours right now, but there he is walking by.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We had like a great little moment.
Yeah.
Like he asked if we were having a topsy-turvy night and
we
it
were.
was great. We absolutely were. The most topsy and the most turvy.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a bummer. I did joke last night if they really wanted like the internet to break, one of the coolest things to do would have been to be like, okay, Star Wars Episode 1 opened in 1999, so come on into Galaxy's Edge for a photo op of young Anakin Skywalker. Like,
That would have been the craziest.
Dude, that line would have been, basically every other line would have had no weight because everybody would have been at that line.
That would have been my dream, actually. I'd been like, okay, have fun, guys.
That would have been so cool. What a missed opportunity. But who else was there? Let's see.
We had the Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale as Rescue Rangers.
Which, so funny, as a kid, I only ever saw Chip and Dale as the Rescue Rangers. And I actually remember being like saying to my family, like, I just want to meet Chip and Dale. They're always in these Rescue Rangers costumes every time I meet them. And now I'm just like, I haven't seen them in those costumes for so long. And it was so wonderful seeing them. So
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Do you remember as a kid? Like, I remember I have photos really, really, really young as just Chip and Dale. But like, it got to a point where they were always Rescue Rangers, no matter where they were.
I mean, I've only been going to Disneyland since 2010.
Okay.
So I have photos in Walt Disney World with Chip and Dale as Chip and Dale, but then I also have photos of that really cool show that existed somewhere in Walt Disney World. I have such a weird like a really specific visual recollection of what was happening, but couldn't tell you plot wise what was happening.
Yeah.
But it was like it was like a Disney afternoon show.
Oh yeah, and Mickey's like Starland over at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, something.
No, that was great.
Like
I remember that show.
So those are the only times I remember seeing them as Chippendale.
Okay. Fun. And then Belle and Gaston were there in Fantasyland. I didn't see Belle at all. I saw Gaston. I must have missed her set. Darkwing Duck, as we mentioned, with Dawn Carnage. Hercules, Megara, and Hades. Now, where were they? Oh, yeah. Oh, they were in we saw before they came out. They had the giant vase there from Hercules, and they were doing... Did you go get photos with them at all?
No, we kind of walked by, and Hades was there, and I love those characters. They're fun to meet.
They come out at the Halloween thing.
Yeah, Hades out at Halloween. Yeah. We've had Hercules and Meg, I think, more recently at events. So I was like, cool to see them, but some of these other ones I felt like were more rare for sure.
Pocahontas and Miko were there, who I see quite a bit. Launchpad, McQuack, and Scrooge McDuck. And and that's the characters, and they were pretty epic and a fun night with characters is all I'm going to say about that. And then, can we talk about the fireworks?
I was just like waiting. I feel like you're going to cry all over again.
The fireworks were everything I wanted them to be.
They really were.
All I said was, you don't have to do much to make a 90s Disney kid happy, other than pop on the Disney afternoon theme song and those TV theme songs. Like, that's all you need, and play some Powerline. And we're happy campers. And it's exactly what they did. And I feel like in so many cases, there's things that Disney does that you're like, all you had to do is this, and we'd be so happy. And they don't do it. This complete opposite. This was all fan service. And so happy they went off. If you go to Disneyland often, the fireworks often get canceled. So it's always scary when it's a one night only fireworks show. So happy that this happened. I mean, it starts off, step right up and come on in. Here's where the fun begins.
Could not have had a better beginning. Could not have had a better finale. Of course, you end with Eye to Eye. There were so many heart fireworks during that section too, which was adorable. I was honestly expecting there to be projections.
I was too. I was surprised there wasn't.
But I'm thinking about it now, and how much more 90s is it to not have any projections?
True.
It's stripped down to yes, we have music and we have fireworks, and that's what it would have been.
And also, it's it's a one night event, so shooting off pyro that you always do anyway doesn't take much more effort, whereas animating new projections would. So I get that. The only thing I would say to that is, you're really taking a risk when it comes to Disneyland and fireworks on a one-night event. There's a good chance they may not happen. So I wish there were projections only so that, if it hadn't worked out, we would have still had something. Although, frankly, I could have just stood on Main Street and have you blast that music, and I still would have just been happy. I was like, yes.
Did you? I rewatched a little bit of it today and caught that in the audio, Jim Cummings definitely filmed or recorded new audio for Darkwing Duck because he specifically makes a comment, because he's like, I'm the whatever in the night. He makes up so many different versions. And I think he said something along the lines of I am the shoulder that's something on Main Street. He specifically says Main Street. So it was brand new audio, a brand new clip from him.
I did not catch that.
And Attractions Magazine has the entire fireworks show. And if you listen, you not only can hear Jeff screaming at every single thing. It is the cutest thing I've ever heard in my life. But
there's only one that I got really Eye to Eye, I think, is what I lost it a a bit. It was so good.
That was great. It was like a sing-along. Everybody is singing DuckTales.
So good. So yeah, there was DuckTales. There was they played Gummy Bears. They played, as you said, Darkwing Duck, Eye to Eye. What else am I missing? What else did they play? Tailspin.
And Rescue Rangers.
Oh, it's all so good.
And it was great. It was only a 7 to 8 minute fireworks show. It wasn't long. It was perfect.
Literally one of my favorite fireworks shows of all time. Goodbye Fantasy in the Sky. Just whenever there's a lull, play this, please. The music of the night. I'm so old. That's what that's what this entire night proved. I loved the nostalgia of this evening and the music throughout the night. NSYNC should always be blasted through the park. That should always happen.
I don't hate that idea. I really don't.
Listen, if along with my rule of no strollers after 7 p.m., how about just NSYNC in 90s pop music after 7 p.m.?
It was really
Obviously,
amazing.
I'm kidding. Don't write me, please. But, I mean, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block.
98 Degrees.
Oh, my gosh.
It was everything.
You had some bop going on over by the Monkeys.
I got to dance with the monkey. And then they also were playing theme songs. Like, we had the 90s. Oh, my gosh. The Friends theme song played.
Yeah. Which is a real song.
Gosh.
I feel bad that we call it the Friends theme song.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't know who the band is. So yeah, the fireworks were everything. And then there was food, specialty food for the night. What were some of your favorites? You got the pizza, what are they called? The pizza bagels, which really weren't bagels.
Yeah, the pizza bagel twists, they definitely were trying to bring back this idea of stuff that we would have eaten as kids in the 90s. So they try to like bring back a more sophisticated version of bagel bites. Mm-hmm. It was really good. Didn't taste like bagel bites, but it tasted like a beautiful pizza.
And it was like fresh. It wasn't a frozen thing, which was really nice.
Yeah. And then we had the gray stuff shake.
The gray stuff shake was delicious.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sincerely didn't even mean that, but like it was really, really, really good.
Yeah, it was a cookies and you can't go wrong with a cookies and cream.
In fact,
milkshake.
I went up to the cast member. I was like, "What's in the gray stuff milkshake?" She's like, "It's like cookies." All set, done.
You like really cut her off.
I was like, "You said you're halfway through cookies and cream. I'm sold." I actually did go and get the that fried thing.
It was literally just called like a fried food basket.
It was kind of gross.
Really?
Yeah, it was fried cheese curds and fried French fries and fried onion petals, they called it. And I don't know, it was just made me a little like, oh, this is a little nauseating.
We got the donut nachos.
Oh, did you? Those looked a little crazy, like a little too much.
I was eating them. It was 1 a.m. by the time I got them and I was eating them. And it was donut holes that have like a glaze on it. And then they just took spoonfuls of Oreos, Butterfingers, Fruity Pebbles, mini M&Ms, and like Reese's peanut butter cups. It was too much, and it was perfect.
Oh, did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what would be not to like other than being like, this is too much sugar?
I have a major sweet tooth, and that slicked a little bit too much for me, even.
It was a lot. I did not finish it, but it was a lot. It was great.
And then, so I wanted to try the PB&J churro. I didn't get around to it. Have they ever had a PB&J churro before?
I don't think so.
I've never heard of one.
Disneyland's been doing so many different types of churros, but they had, like outside of the PB&J one, I found out this ranch-dusted toasted corn churro was supposed to be like a Cool Ranch Dorito.
Oh, shut up!
That was like why it would like someone else like was like, did you get the Doritos churro? And I was like, oh, like it suddenly clicked, and I'm so sad I didn't get it.
100% ranch-dusted toast. Just say Dorito. I know they legally can't, but oh my, couldn't you say Cooler Ranch churro? I'm sure Doritos doesn't own the term Cooler Ranch. Oh man.
Yeah. Or like ranch corn chip. I don't know.
Missed opportunity there. And then there was, the thing your buddy told you was like phenomenal with the
tropical punch dip pickles?
This sounds revolting. I hate pickles. And the idea of dipping a pickle in tropical punch this is not a 90s thing. This is gross.
I mean, it kind of sounds like something I would have done as a kid. Like dipping. I don't know. I used to drink pickle juice out of the jar with a straw as a kid.
Literally, I'm gagging right now. My sisters did the same thing, and it's so gross.
I don't know. I did get to try them. We did meet up with some people who did try them. They did not enjoy them at all, but I will never know.
Yeah. Now these two churros better come back. The PB&J churro and basically the Doritos churro. I want that to come back at some point because those I really, really, really want to try. But I thought it was fun that they had some pretty unique foods here. The food lines, I will say, not terrible.
And you could mobile order.
Yeah, you could mobile order. You could, of course, this event came with free photo pass as well, so that was great with all the character photos. Now, there was something that I don't think I ever visited it, but remember seeing it on TV and have such fond memories of Afternoon Avenue at Disneyland. Do you remember seeing this in promo videos at all or anything?
I've only seen it in promo videos, like as an adult, not even as a kid.
Okay, I remember seeing it on like the Walt Disney World Happy Easter Parade on on TV. And the Olsen twins went and experienced it, and they shot this whole promo video. And so basically they took what they call the Small World Esplanade area, and they made it Afternoon Avenue. This was back in the 90s. And, it was tons of bright colors. That, in fact, they did like a whole Rescue Rangers overlay of the mini Autopia. It was obviously much more extravagant than what they did last night, but they basically recreated a mini version of this last night. And I loved it. So we get there, and they had like these whole balloon standy things.
The balloons were awesome.
And here's the cool thing, like that's what the archway looked. Back in the day, they had like this cool archway that had a big Disney Afternoon sign, and they weren't real balloons, but they looked like balloons and confetti and stuff all over it. And it was so reminiscent of that, these little balloon displays that they had to take your photo in front of. And then they had like the standy type of cutouts where you could step into like your favorite Disney Afternoon show. So we got pictured with gummy bears, which I wish there had been some gummy bear characters.
I know. That would have not kept it together at all.
Oh gosh, that would have been great. And I think we did
the Rescue Rangers
with your girl, Gadget.
Gadget.
Who nobody knows these days, but Gadget's cool. You had the greatest Gadget coaster. The greatest Gadget coat last night. There we go. And your dad had airsprayed.
Yeah, my dad airbrushed this Gadget jacket, and it's a really weird 90s jacket anyway. The whole thing about it is so strange. And he does this really beautiful, bright Gadget on it and got a lot of comments on it throughout the night. I was the only person I saw repping Gadget at all. I was shocked.
Well, I recently, I'm going to call Preston out again, who I mentioned earlier in the episode, but we recently were at Disneyland. And like I said, he's like 16 or something. Went on Gadget's Go Coaster. He had no idea who Gadget was. And it's like, oh my gosh.
I mean, I did Gadget for Dapper Day a few Dapper Days ago.
Yeah.
Like, I love Gadget.
Yeah. They're going to bring that back, right? They're going to bring back Rescue Rangers? I feel like I heard that they were at one point. I don't know if it's going to happen.
If it's half as good as the new DuckTales, I am in.
Yeah, the new DuckTales is very, very good. Yeah. I'm happy with it. So yeah, the Afternoon Avenue had those photo ops, had some other character meet and greets. One of my favorite things, which is so stupid, this is not exciting at all, yet me became like a 9-year-old boy at this point. I was pretty stupid, wasn't I?
No, we all were. We all
gosh.
were. Like, me, you, and Banks were all so excited over it.
So they gave us this map that basically has places for stamps. And each stamp is a logo of a Disney Afternoon show. So we got DuckTales and, all the classical ones we've been talking about. And all you do is walk up to a cast member and they take out a rubber stamp and stamp the map with the logo. And this made our day.
Yeah.
This was smart on so many levels. Number one, I had them stamp my hand, which is still not completely washed off.
I couldn't get mine off either.
We got gummy bears in our hands. And this was smart because, I feel like in most cases there would be like, oh, put a sticker or something, like the Easter egg hunt.
Sure.
This is so much cheaper. Now they got these rubber stamps, which makes me think, oh, they invested in rubber stamps. Oh, will 90's Nite be returning?
Yeah.
I think it might be, which would be kind of awesome. But yes, this was one of my favorite things, and, I will be holding on to that map, and it was so stupid fun. I loved it.
It truly... I don't even know if they anticipated it being they're going to feel like kids again. I don't even think that was a thing. I think it was like, we need something else back here besides these backdrops.
Yeah.
But it truly embodied being a kid. And this one woman came up to us. We were so hyped on it. This one woman came up to us and she was like, oh, what are you getting these stamps for? Like, what do you get?
What do you win?
And we were like, stamps!
It's totally true. This stranger came up and did exactly, oh, what do you win? Nothing. We got stamps. And we're so genuinely excited. And she's like, oh, good for you.
Yeah, I was like, get out of here.
And that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is fairly ridiculous, isn't it? I gotta be honest, I would be all for those being all over the park. There were 4 stamps that we needed, and they were all in that small Afternoon Avenue area. But I'd say put them all over the place.
I would love for that to be incorporated in more of a scavenger hunt even.
Yeah. Oh, which is so 90s. Scavenger hunts is 90s.
Absolutely.
Oh, so much fun. Anything else that was going on that night specifically that you want to talk about? Because I have some questions and thoughts.
I mean, we kind of touched on it briefly, but just the vibe of the whole atmosphere with like blasting that music. It wasn't just going through the speakers, but we actually had a DJ in the hub. DJ Wendy Walker, she DJs tons of special events in Disneyland. She is great. Such great taste. And it was an actual dance party in the hub.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really seen that to that extent in Disneyland.
I mean, it was such good music.
Everybody that was there was like so hyped.
You know what I think part of it was, and this is going to sound maybe pretentious or whatever, but I feel like 90s night, so, you know, people are in their 30s for the most part going, right? We're not jerks anymore, right? Like, we're grown adults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, we're going to go and be like, respectful adults, have a good time, but like everybody's there to have a good time. I just feel like if it were a younger group, it could kind of become like a nasty
like a
night.
grad night situation.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is what it was not. It was like, made us feel like grad night, but with life experience.
It's like so true. Like we've had some jobs at this point under our belt.
Exactly.
We pay bills now.
Yeah, and this event wasn't cheap.
No.
But yeah, it was. You're right. The live DJ was cool, and overall, just such a fun night.
Well, we heard it later throughout the evening, but there was an a cappella R&B group on the Mark Twain,
yeah,
which is pretty interesting. The only downfall, like we didn't do it because it was going to be like a 30-minute long experience, and you had to go all the way around the rivers of America. But later in that evening, we were over trying to find Ping and Mushu. We heard them going around, like the audio was like blasting, and they sounded amazing. I had for a split second, I was like, is this a real Boyz II Men?
Yeah.
Like, they sounded so good.
Oh, maybe we should have done that.
People were hyped on the Twain. Like, everyone was, like, clapping. Everyone, like, along the bank there that was watching was clapping and singing along. It was really, really cool.
Oh, I need to go back to 90s night. I gotta go get some churros and see that. Now, as far as 90s stuff that you would have liked to have seen there that would have been, you know, realistic for Disney to do. Because here's the thing with these events. I feel like we always have these lists of, oh, they could have done this, they could have done that. Listen, they have a budget. They do what they can with that budget. But I feel like in some cases, it's like you should do a little more. So if you could have added something 90s to this.
Well, I did mention this to you.
Yes, which, first of all,
last night.
God bless you for mentioning it.
I really think there was a missed opportunity to bring back Honey, I Shrunk the Audience in that Tomorrowland theater.
Yes.
It would have been the perfect. They have to have those controls saved somewhere for that theater, right? They have that footage somewhere.
Totally.
Like, it would have been such an easy little thing to pop in there. I think people would have freaked out over that.
I would have freaked out. I will say, a little disappointed with a cast member whose name I don't know, but I just made a comment, like, she was at one of the character meet and greets, was like, oh, where can I meet Wayne Zielinski? She had no idea who I was talking about. Oh, kill me. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Rick Moranis. But yes, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience would have loved that. And they need to do that. Like, next time around, they need to do that. When I hear there's going to be another 90s night, I will be contacting people and being like, you need to bring back Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. The other thing that, to me, no-brainer whatsoever, I think the fireworks were the issue with this, but Mickey's Toontown absolutely should have been open.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit was the 80s, but the show's, you know, as we said, Gadget's in there. She has a coaster. Like, that's totally 90s themed. There's a lot of 90s themed centric stuff in there. I feel like that would have been a good place for meet and greets. I think it's just because of the fireworks were launched. I kind of wish they had maybe, like, done the fireworks right at 9 or something.
Yeah,
and then
I
said,
agree.
after the fireworks, we'll reopen Toontown. Something like that. But Mickey's Toontown, I feel like, absolutely should have been open. The other thing that I would like to see come to this is, as we mentioned, we didn't get to see every character. You certainly don't have time to meet and greet every character. I would love it if the night started or ended with a character cavalcade.
Yep, absolutely.
Just down Main Street, around the hub, and back down Main Street again, and that's it. And the party's not that crowded that, like, anybody that wanted to see it couldn't see it in that small amount of space. Absolutely. And then they go off and do their meet and greets. I would love that.
Yeah, same.
And just play the Disney afternoon theme the whole time. Just on a loop.
Hey, you do it for a Christmas fantasy parade. That's like one song that plays like 19 times.
Exactly.
I would not mind hearing that song over and over and over.
So I did kind of miss that. Like, that's the thing that, you compared it at the beginning to like a Mickey's Halloween Party event. The big difference is Mickey's Halloween Party is many, many nights. So obviously the budget is much grander. So they can afford to put in a parade and such. But a cavalcade, like, just do the rainy day cavalcade. That's it. And throw our characters on there, and that would make me so happy.
Like, even make the whole thing feel really 90s. Like, don't try to do all these bells and whistles on these floats, Put them in cars. Who cares? Like, put them in convertibles, old school style, like when MGM Studios opened and they had all the celebrities just sitting on the edge, like, backs of convertibles, waving to people. I would have been hyped. It would have been so good.
That's all I need. Like, it would have been great.
So, you could have also just incorporated so many more 90s characters from all the Disney Renaissance films. Like, this, I feel like, was really heavily focused on Disney Afternoon, which I'm
good with.
Yeah, I think that made it way more special.
Because, like, I honestly do consider, like, the Lion King meet and greet to be a cop-out. I see Timon and Rafiki plenty.
Yeah.
Like, to me, they're not that special.
But they had a long line.
I'm sure they do. Well, maybe I'm being a spoiled brat here. Is Rafiki not here a lot? Maybe I'm used to seeing him in Florida.
He's in Florida a lot, as is Timon.
I just feel like they've done shows. I don't consider them to be that rare. But when you talk like Disney Afternoon, those are rare. And frankly, the night could have been Disney Afternoon night, and that would have been like even better. Like, we'd lose the Phantasmic Monkeys at that point. But but I don't know. Belle and Gaston, they're not that rare.
Yeah.
Right, the Hunchback stuff was pretty rare, which was cool. But I love that. And the other thing, I mean, obviously Powerline, there's no question. That's like a huge draw from a Goofy movie. Over at Magical Map Stage or Tomorrowland Terrace, even if they got rid of the meet and greet for this, give me a Powerline show so that I can at least see them, even if we're not going to wait in a 2-hour line or whatever, I
mean, that's how it kind of went down in Fan Days, right? In Paris, it was this big, huge, flashy stage show, so everyone got to experience it.
Yeah. So that's what I want to see. So is there anything else you would like to see added that's 90s centric that you can think of?
Honestly, I think just having any more opportunities to have people do anything that eats away from other lines.
Sure.
Because there were quite a few characters, but I think we could have had a lot more.
I mean, stamps. Put the stamps all. Seriously though, if they put that all over the park and had people doing a scavenger hunt, even if the prize was something lame, give us an eraser. Like, I don't care.
Oh my gosh, how 90s, an eraser, a mechanical pencil.
Amazing. Like something like that. Or a slap bracelet.
Oh, like why did we not get slap bracelets in the fanny packs? Oh, that's one thing
we did get fanny packs.
Yeah, got fanny packs.
Okay, now I'm going to be completely honest. The beginning of the night, I was like, what am I going to do with a fanny pack? This is stupid. Fanny packs are terrible. I remember wearing them in the Disney parks as a kid. I have so many photos at Walt Disney World wearing a fanny pack, and now I'm so grossed out with them. By the end of the night, right at the beginning of the night, it was on my waist, and I was like, it's actually kind of convenient and doesn't look that bad.
They truly were. And we kind of made a joke, because you get a wristband, and because you mix in with regular guests, they always have to check for this wristband while you're going through the park, so they kick you out if you don't have one. And it's like, just look for the fanny packs.
Fanny packs are on eBay right now for like $70.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if anybody's bidding on them, but they're listed for like $70.
That's crazy town. There was special merch. We haven't talked about the merch.
I actually did go in at the end of the night to look, and they were gone. So
yeah, we went in. I ended up buying a 3X t-shirt because that was the only size that they had left.
Why'd you buy it? Are you going to cut it up and make something out of it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to put the back on a denim jacket.
Okay.
Because the graphic was so cool. It's like you have this really cool grid, which was a very 90s motif, and then you have Mickey in this cool outfit playing guitar. It was a really, really fun design. I wish there was almost more merch.
Yeah.
And clearly not enough. Like, everything was sold out
But
instantly.
they want to sell out. Oh, was it early in the night that they sold out?
There was still maybe an hour and a half left of the night, and it was already gone.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't want any left over because it's a one-night thing. So I get it. But yeah, I really didn't get to see any merch because of that. As we said, the fanny packs were super, super cool. Was there anything in the night that you're like, this is terrible, this needs to be fixed for the next special event?
Other than not being able to at least see what's happening with the characters and the switching off situation with the characters, which is going to happen when it's somebody rare. Like, there is actually only one Darkwing Duck.
Yes.
You know? Like,
yes.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
So I get it from a logistic standpoint, but I think at that point, that's when you need to have more characters to take up more people, or just do separate lines. Like,
totally should have been separate lines. And I guess if they had to be off for a half hour or 15 minutes or something, I'd rather that than have to take a picture with a character I don't want to. Like, I don't know. That was a weird situation, but also based surrounding the characters, fix the lighting was my big note. There were some characters that were lit pretty well and properly, but like arguably the biggest photo op of the night with Max as Powerline was not lit well at all. Like, if you've seen any videos and stuff on social media, a lot of them are quite bad because they had a light on them, but it wasn't bright. And it was weird because some were lit, like the monkeys were lit spectacularly with their black light. So, I mean, that's an easy fix.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't just do it.
I do remember one thing that I mentioned last night that I was like, oh, I wish they had this.
What's that?
The karaoke.
Yeah.
At the 24-hour event for the 60th, they had karaoke in Toontown. There was a karaoke party in Toontown, which would have been perfect.
I kind of hate karaoke, so I'm not sure that I would have enjoyed that. But hey, something else to do, not against it.
Everybody else was already like singing anyway.
It's true.
So
we were, oh gosh.
Everybody was singing at the top of their lungs. So give a girl a stage and a microphone.
Last night was pretty much the closest to like TRL in Disneyland we will ever get.
Oh my gosh, what a great comparison.
Oh, it was so fun. All we needed was Carson Daly. Did I ever tell you I was on TRL?
No.
Carson Daly interviewed me on TRL.
Oh my gosh.
This was like 2001, maybe 2. Actually, I think it was before 9/11, so I think it was 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
And I was in New York City, desperately trying to get into the Rosie O'Donnell show. Didn't get in, so I made a sign. I was there with 2 of my sisters, made a sign, was down on the streets of New York, looking up while they're shooting the show, put battery-operated strobe lights and made cookies for Carson Daly. So he had us come on. He brought us upstairs. Oh my God, lost our minds. You don't understand. I was obsessed with TRL.
I believe all this. I do. I truly believe. When you're like, I'm obsessed. I'm like, of course you were.
I love it. And so we got up on the show and he like interviewed us on the air, and it was so funny because like, back then, you were kind of like not cool if you were like a TRL kid. At least where I grew up, like people were like, you watch TRL? I'm like, yeah. Everybody I knew, saw you on TRL, saw you. I was like, why were you watching TRL? I was just flipping through the channels. Yeah, everybody was flipping through the channels at the moment I was on TRL. Anyway, tangent. So the big question, is this event or events like this worth the money? So this ticket was $99. I think the next one, the Marvel one, is $109.
Yep, I just looked at that again today.
Are you considering?
We will see.
Yeah. So for me, what I would say is it is not worth it. It's worth the money if it's something you're very specifically interested in. I was very interested in 90's Nite. So to me, worth the money in that sense. It's not really worth the money if you're an annual pass holder, because I will tell you, I rode nothing last night. The only thing I did attraction-wise was see a preview for Dumbo. That's it.
And it was before the party started. So.
And that was before the party started, yeah. So I rode nothing. If you're an annual pass holder, I can't see putting out another $100 to do an event like this where a lot of the stuff you can do during your normal park hours. It's an expensive ticket. If you're going to do it, I would say you have to take advantage of the 3-hour early entrance, or else it's really, because it's a 4-hour party.
It was 5?
9 to 1.
Oh yeah, 9 to 1. Yeah.
4 hours. So with your additional 3 hours, you get 7 hours. That makes it a little bit better. But I would say you really have to love the theme, because it's not like what they do is spectacular. A lot of it ties down to what the theme means to you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's gonna, without a doubt, there will be themed entertainment, themed food, and characters based off whatever theme it is. So if you like are super passionate about that theme, then it probably is worth your time and money to go.
Yeah.
I do think experience-wise, some of like people waited 2.5 hours to meet Darkwing Duck. 2.5 hours.
That's literally more than half
of the party.
That's crazy.
So you really have to know, like you have to have realistic expectations. And I think us not trying to meet a ton of characters and really just enjoying the atmosphere and the night, like I think it absolutely was worth it for this one.
Yeah. For me, I'm lucky in the respect that, like, as I mentioned, characters aren't normally the most important thing for me. For me, it's the live entertainment. So, actually, for instance, I did do Mickey's Halloween party this past year. And so when I say live entertainment with Mickey's Halloween party, that's parade, fireworks, and is there something else? Or is it basically those two things?
For here, it's really only those two things.
Fireworks were canceled the night I went. So, like, that's really stinks. I didn't care to wait in 2-hour lines at the Halloween party. I've met the villains before. So yeah, it's really, this is a case by case basis. I would say if you're looking at the quality of, if you're looking to see your money dripping, off of the event, like see it everywhere, you're not going to. It kind of feels like a really well-produced high school prom.
That's a really great comparison. Honestly.
And so, like, it's not going to feel like it was worth the money unless it means something to you. So I would say be choosy if you're going to do these events. Really think about it. Like, I will never go do Marvel. Like, that's just, like, that's not going to happen for me.
I only want to do Marvel because I know that there's going to be the characters, like, our Fab Five dressed as Avengers. And that's going to be...
Did they announce that?
They haven't announced it officially.
Okay.
But it has to. They exist on the cruise. They do these Marvel...
I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. They do these Marvel Days at Sea.
I knew that.
You have Chip and Dale are dressed as Loki and Thor.
Wow.
You have Minnie Mouse as Spider-Gwen, of all things.
That's really, 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 really interesting to me because I recently had a conversation with my friend Derek from the Mad Chatters podcast. Actually, this is a recorded conversation that will come out later. We've already recorded the episode, but it's coming out after this one. And by the way, I did an episode with him, top 10 rare characters we'd like to see in the parks. I guess spoiler here, but his number one is Max as Powerline. So he was very jealous last night. But we were talking about the characters in the Star Wars days, or the Star Wars weekends, where we used to see Jedi Mickey and stuff, and all that went away when Disney bought Lucasfilm. Like, that was a very conscious decision that they made. Like, now that we own these characters, we're not going to see Darth Vader dancing, we're not going to see Chip and Dale dressed as Ewoks and all that fun stuff. So it's interesting to me that they're doing it with Marvel characters. I didn't know that was a thing that existed.
I will say they're dressed very loosely. They're essentially kind of like
they're
Disney bound.
Oh my god!
Like Donald.
It's amazing.
Donald dresses up like the Hulk, and it is literally like a little green shirt and like a purple bucket hat. It's very loose. Mickey is a quote-unquote Captain America, and he has a baseball cap with like the shield logo kind of on it, a Captain America shield. So, or maybe it's an A, and the shirt has like a very loose shield. So they're not cosplaying as much as they are almost Disney bounding.
That's unbelievable. I have never even seen or heard of this.
Yeah,
now I gotta look into this. I gotta do that.
Daisy's Black Widow. It's so cool.
That's crazy. Anything else you want to add here before we go into some trivia?
It didn't hit me until I went home, but there were no children.
Oh my gosh.
No, nobody brought their kids. No toddler in sight.
No strollers.
There was no strollers.
I got my dream. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
That's kind of worth the $100. That's why I was in such a good mood last night.
Maybe.
Oh my, you're a genius.
We were there with it's like everybody, because people our age have kids. Oh, people our age have kids all the time.
Totally.
Young kids, but they left them at home.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I loved last night even more. Just knowing that.
I don't think that'll be the case for the Marvel one that's coming up.
No, but
people will bring their kids dressed as Spider-Man and Captain America.
I didn't see a single kid.
Yep.
That is unbelievable. No kids, no strollers. makes 90s Night at Disneyland the greatest event Disneyland has ever thrown.
They're going to bring it back. They have to.
I think they will, because I think that this is probably going to become, assuming Disneyland After Dark continues, don't you think it's going to become an annual event? Don't you think we'll see another Star Wars one this year? Maybe not, because of Galaxy's Edge. It's going to be Star Wars crazy enough there. But I don't know. I hope 90s Night comes back. They might do like 2000s Night next time.
I know. I think they might entertain more decades.
Yeah.
And
I'm all for 80s Night.
80s would be amazing.
Oh.
When they brought back the Electrical Parade, they had that special event that you could pay to go in to see it like a day early.
Yes.
And it was kind of like a 70s night. Like they were blasting a lot of like disco and funk and stuff on Main Street, and it was a mood. It was awesome.
70s Night's a nightmare to me. I hate the 70s.
That's fine. It's good music though.
Music, it's disco.
Oh, it's good.
I don't love the music, and I hate the style, and I hate the facial hair of the 70s. Like I literally, if there's movies and TV shows that take place in the 70s, most of the time I'm like, I can't even handle this. It grosses me out so much.
You know what I think would go over so well across
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids Night?
I mean, that's just Jeff's night only.
Oh, okay.
But please do a DCOM night. Like
that'd be really niche.
Is it though? Because it's kind of like Disney Afternoon, but like,
you know what the problem with that would be is I feel like that would be tough, because I feel like every generation has their DCOMs that they would all expect to see.
Yeah, have them all. Have the High School Musicals, and then have like the
I think that might be
Lemonade
tough.
Mouth. I don't know.
I think that would be tough to pull off, just because you'd be trying to satisfy so many different. Maybe if they had like 90s DCOM night, and then like 80s DCOM, and then 2000s.
Maybe if they did like a 2000s night, like I fully expect to have a High School Musical moment.
I would, yeah, I
Fully.
I wouldn't think of that initially, but I would love to see that, and that would make me very happy.
I think I'm just like in this, like, I had so many like wish fulfillments last night that I'm like, okay, what do I want next?
Yeah,
I want Xenon. Give me a Xenon and Nebula meet and greet. Have Protozoa play.
It was honestly the most fun I've had at Disneyland in a long time, and you know,
I can very confidently say that also.
Yeah, and you know, this is such a spoiled brat comment to make, but when you go to Disneyland as often as you do, it just realistically does lose some of the magic. Do you agree?
I mean, there's days that are definitely more special than others.
This was a special day.
And this was something incredible.
So, I loved it. I loved it. Anyways, guys, I think that means it's trivia time! All right, Tiffany, do you want to hit me with a trivia question first, or shall I hit you with mine?
I think I'll go first.
Okay.
And I hope that all my answers here are correct.
We're trusting the internet.
We can have a further conversation, and maybe you know something that's not on this list, because I feel like it is missing something.
Okay.
How many Disney afternoon shows were based off of theatrically released Disney films or characters?
Wow, I'm going to fail miserably on this. Tailspin for sure was based on Jungle Book characters.
Uh-huh.
Darkwing Duck was not. That was an original Disney afternoon. Gummy Bears was original. DuckTales did have a movie, but it came after the series, I believe. Although
I think so. I don't know if do you count Donald Duck as a
I was going to say, but he only had shorts, really. I wouldn't even count that. So, I mean, Gargoyles was that, no. Goof Troop is based off a Goofy movie?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's some weird ones in here that were not represented last night.
Bonkers?
No, Bonkers didn't have
I don't think so, but
a movie.
I can't think of other Disney afternoon shows. Am I missing some obvious ones?
Can you do kind of
give me the shows and I'll tell.
Well, I can't give you the shows because they're the same titles of the movies.
Same titles of the. So wait a sec. They're. Oh wow!
So there were. So
these were later.
Yeah, these
Disney
were
afternoon shows that I stopped watching at this point. Oh goodness! Give me one.
We had 101 Dalmatians, the series.
They had a Disney afternoon show?
There was a Disney afternoon show.
Never even knew that. I thought that might trigger some oh yeah, I remember that generation.
There was a Hercules.
Okay. Oh, there was a Little Mermaid, but no, that wasn't Disney afternoon.
Yeah, there was a Little Mermaid, but not Disney afternoon. There was an Aladdin show.
Okay.
Timon and Pumbaa had their own little show.
That was Disney afternoon?
Apparently.
Okay.
And I guess technically the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, because they had an animated series.
Mm-hmm, they did.
Wow, I failed miserably.
I would have also failed that, but I thought it was interesting. I just was information I wanted to know.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, that was definitely the later years, at which point I had gotten too old and too cool for it.
I know, at that point I was like, ooh, these edgy Nick shows.
Yeah, well, my question for you is, can you name the rides that opened at Disneyland in the 90s that are still there today?
Well, one attraction that I can say confidently, because last night it was the weirdest photo op I'd ever seen, and Tarzan's Treehouse.
Very good.
It was in 1999, and
Yes.
I took a photo with, there was a photo pass with the big sign, and I was like, this is hilarious.
You're right, that's one of them.
So I feel like that's the weirdest one. I know Splash Mountain didn't open in 89,
Mm-hmm.
so that is not 90s.
One of them's an entire land.
Ooh, I feel like that should be very obvious for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bear Country became Critter Country.
I don't
but
know the
think-
date that happened, but
I
this
think
is a
that
brand
was-
new land that opened in the 90s.
Toontown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mickey's
I
Toontown.
always forget about that. So everything in Toontown, basically.
Mickey's Toontown opened in 93, but there is one attraction in there that opened in 94. Do you know which one that is? It's a pretty obvious one.
Is it an obvious one?
I mean, there's really
It's
two
only
attractions
Gadget.
in
It's
there.
only Gadgets, or I would say Roger Rabbit.
Roger Rabbit opened in 94.
I was
yes.
only thinking Gadget because of where it's located, and it was a little further away.
Yeah, I don't know what was in that space. It must have just been a facade when Toontown first opened. But yeah, Roger Rabbit was added in 94.
Okay.
And there's two more. One you should be able to get. The other one you'll never get, and I'll be in shock if you do, because I would have never known this.
So two more 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Star Tours was the 80s.
Yep. We talked about one of them on the show today.
Did Thunder Mountain open in the 90s?
No, that's like the 70s.
Is it?
I mean, we were talking about one of them.
Did we?
There was a meet and
gosh.
greet. I confused it with Fantasmic States.
Oh, Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones Adventure.
94.
Yeah. And then the one that you'll never get is the Astro Orbiter.
Weird.
1998, because before that it was the Astrojets in a different location. When the park first up, well, in 56, the Astrojets, but the Astro Orbiter was a new attraction in
Interesting.
98, which was very, very surprising to me. So anyway, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on and reminiscing last night.
I know, it was just the nostalgia overload. I feel like we'll be talking about this forever. Even right now, I'm like, oh, you know what would have been cool is if they had a panel of
Oh,
animators. I don't know.
there's no. Here's the thing: 4 hours is not a lot of time.
No.
Eric Goldberg should have been down there doing caricatures of those.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine the line? That would have been amazing.
Just have Jim Cummings. Have Jim Cummings do a little Q&A on the Tomorrowland stage and just do the voice, so many voices.
Okay, nothing against the DJ, but if Jim Cummings DJ, better yet, keep the DJ. Just give Jim Cummings the microphone. Oh gosh,
Well, we will fantasize about
forever.
Everything
we will
that
be
can
talking
happen.
about this, and it was such a great night. I'm so glad it was so much fun. I'm so glad you came on to talk about it. But Tiffany, let folks know where they can find you if they want to see more of you.
Sure. I am on YouTube, just Tiffany Mink. I'm on Instagram at TiffMink and Twitter at Minkus.
Fantastic, and I want to give a shout out to my patrons: Philip, Rio, Monet, Anna, Diego, Preston, James, Gerardo, and Jared. Thank you so much for being patrons of Disney Coast to Coast. If you want to become a patron as well, head to patreon.com/DisneyCTC, where you can get rewards and early access to episodes and more. You can also find a link over at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. And while you're there at DisneyCoastToCoast.com, be sure to sign up and receive your free gift of America's Hidden Mickeys, lesser-known Disney destinations to visit around the USA. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePaoli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.